Hello, welcome back to Hot Girls Can't Drive. I'm your host, Bree, and happy Sunday if you're listening to this on the day of the release. If you're a returning listener, I wanted to apologize for not posting a video last Sunday. I was always planning on releasing it late because my birthday was January 15th. But I ended up just not releasing one at all just because I had my first week of classes this week back at U Miami. And so it was just like going to be way too much work to like try to record and edit a podcast episode. So if you follow my Instagram, which if you're not, you should go follow it. It's at Hot Girls Can't Drive Pod. I want to personally apologize for telling you that I was going to be uploading an episode late and then just never uploaded it. But it's just been a little bit hectic. So, like I said, I did just have my birthday January 15th. So it was that last Monday, and I turned 20. And while like during my birthday was when I was moving into my new apartment. I'm in my new apartment now at the University of Miami. And so recap my birthday. It honestly wasn't that good. I had a pretty rough birthday. There was just some friend drama that was going on, and it's just kind of hard because my birthday, I feel like I never planned for it ahead of time because it's kind of like Christmas, New Year's, and then I turn around, it's my birthday, and I always wait till last minute to plan. And since it's January 15th, that's literally the day before classes start. So like last year too, I really didn't do much for my birthday because all my friends, like I'm not in Maryland anymore, so I can't hang with my Maryland friends. And then most of my friends in Miami are like traveling or like getting ready for the first day of classes. So I feel like no one's ever free. So it could have gone better. It was a little bit rough. I definitely did cry a little bit, but whatever. It's fine. I'm a Capricorn. Duh. I'm a Capricorn. So I kind of hate birthdays. I feel like ever since like my 18th birthday, my last three birthdays, I guess, I've just been kind of like dreading birthdays because I feel like everybody hypes it up. It's supposed to be like this big day. And then like I'm an adult now. So like my friends have like lives, and they can't just like spend a whole day making it about me, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's all to be said that I kind of wanted to share some life advice because I've just actually lived so long now. I'm so old. No, I'm just kidding. But I feel like my platform on this podcast is like a big range of people that listen. Obviously, it's more girls than guys statistically, but it's like there's a lot of younger girls, but then also girls like my age. And so, like, I thought it might be interesting to share my perspective of different things that I've learned from life as a 20-year-old girl. So that's why I kind of just, as always, I made a list of 20 things on my notes app that I wanted to share. So this is just some life lessons that I've learned. And so I'm just going to kind of go down the list and talk about them. And I hope that this is useful to you. And I honestly think that like any of these lessons that I've learned growing up could be useful to anyone at any stage of their life. So this isn't like specific to girls my age. But I just thought it might be interesting to share my specific perspective. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So my first lesson that I learned because I was doing a lot of reflection when I was coming out with this list. I've been thinking about this for like a week, and definitely like one of the first things I thought of was it's okay to not want the same things you did when you were younger. I feel like within the past year for me, I've been going through a lot of change, like with my major and like, when I moved to Miami. And I'm one of those people, like I definitely like to have goals and like to have plans. And so when I was younger, like, I thought, like, oh, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be this. Like, I want to pursue this career and I'm going to do this and I'm going to want this. And, when I was like 12, I think I thought that those things were cool, but they probably weren't realistic. So what I've learned is like it's okay to not like want to commit to the same things that you told yourself you're going to commit to when you were younger. Like for me, when I was younger, I used to write letters to my older self, and on it would be like, you better be this career, like you better be doing this, Miss Girl. And like when I first would read those letters, I would feel kind of guilty that like I don't want the same things I did when I was younger. Like I'm at a point in my life where I really don't know if I want to get married and have kids, where when I was younger, like I definitely wanted kids and I definitely wanted to get married. And so part of me sometimes feels guilty for not wanting the same things I did, because I'm like, I feel like I'm like letting my younger self down. But I've kind of become okay with the fact that like I'm literally 20. Like I'm growing and my opinions are changing, and it's okay that I'm changing. Like I'm allowed to have different opinions than I did when I was like 13. Like that's fine. So that's kind of something that I've learned is it's okay to not want the same things, and I shouldn't feel guilty for that. Number two, this lesson is something that my mom always tells me because I'm a chronic people pleaser. I just need everyone around me to be happy all the time. And if they're unhappy, I feel like it's like subconsciously, I'm like, make it my job to make sure that they're happy. And oftentimes I like sacrifice my own happiness to make the people around me happy. And I've realized that I've had people in my life who have like taken advantage of me in a way, because they know that like I'm a chronic people pleaser, and so I'll just do anything because I just want people to be happy, I guess. So my mom always tells me that you can't please everyone, so you have to please yourself, because I've definitely spiraled down like a rabbit hole before of like different people close to me wanting different things from me or telling me to do different things, and it's like no matter what I do, someone's gonna be unhappy. And so that gives me a lot of anxiety, because like when I was picking a college, different people wanted me to like stay home or go far away or go to like a really prestigious school or go to a school that was like gonna be cheaper. And it was really stressing me out, because I felt like no matter what I do, someone's gonna be upset with me. And I hate when someone's upset with me, because I just need everyone to like me. Like I have this like really toxic mentality where I need everyone to like me, and like it's bad. People pleasing is a horrible thing. I wish I was more selfish, because I need to be more selfish. But anyways, so what I've been trying to work on, and like something that I've learned, is like at the end of the day, like I feel like someone's always got something to say. Literally everybody just be yapping all the time, and people always have their opinions. And so you just have to do things that are going to make yourself happy, because like at the end of the day, you have to protect your peace, Miss Girl. And so you have to like just realize that if there's always going to be somebody that has something to say, you might as well just do what you want. You know what I mean? And that's something I still like, I think honestly, like I don't know if I'm ever gonna not be a people pleaser, because I've grown up like that's just been embedded in my brain. And so like I don't know if I'll ever change, but it's something that I've definitely been like mentally conscious of when making decisions in my life. So there you go. Number three is no one is coming to save you. This has been something like when I was in my sad girl era, I definitely was like, felt like I was just like waiting around, like laying in my bed all day, just subconsciously being like, someone's going to come around and fix this. Like someone's going to press a magic button and everything's going to be okay. Or like all my friends are going to come and make this okay. And I kept waiting for people to like come and save me, or like fix me, or like fix the things around me that was going wrong. And like at the end of the day, like you're kind of just by yourself. And so you have to just like, when you're going through a rough patch, you can't just sit around and like hope that whatever you're going through is going to fix itself, because no one's coming to like save you. Literally, that's literally what I just said. So like you have to be proactive in changing your life if you want change, because no one's going to do it for you. Which is there's something, I feel like I learned all this the hard way, but like there was definitely a moment where I felt like I hit rock bottom, and I just kept waiting for someone to like snap their fingers and fix it. And then like I just kept getting more and more upset, because it was like, why is this not fixing itself magically? And then I realized that like if I wanted this to be fixed, I had to get my ass out of bed and like fix it myself. So definitely learns that. Number four is it's okay to grow out of friendships and still have love for those people. This is kind of something that I was thinking about recently, because I had a reunion with some of my friends from middle school. Because I was in middle school, I had this like group of girls that I like did everything with. And then when we went to high school, we like went to different high schools because my middle school like was districted to different high schools. It's really confusing, but basically like I grew out of those friendships with those girls. And then when I saw them, when we all hung out together, I kind of felt guilty for the fact that I hadn't like kept up that relationship with them, and I really hadn't made the effort like through the years to like maintain the relationship the same way that we had when we were in middle school. But like something I've realized is like, you know, especially me, because I went through teenage years where like you're changing, your opinions are changing, your personality is changing. It's okay to not be friends with the same people that you were when you were younger. I feel like I always thought it was so cool and like idolized people that had childhood friendships that were like besties from like, you know, the time that they could walk, and then they like grew up and like lived in a house next to each other and their kids are best friends. Like I always idolized those, like that I like ideal, I guess. But like it's okay to not be friends with the same girls you were friends with, or guys you were friends with in like middle school, because like you grow up and you move away and like your opinions change and your morals change, and you might not, and those things might not align with the people that you used to be friends with. But like just because I'm not friends with the same girls that I were in middle school, and you know, like we're still like friends, we're just not besties anymore. And so it's okay to grow out of like how we were so close. And I've realized it's okay to like not be as close anymore, but I still wish the best for them. Like I still want them to get everything that they deserve and they've been working towards. And I still want everything that they want for themselves, I guess. Like, does that make sense? Like I still want the best for them, but it's okay to not, that I'm not besties with them. Like, I remember one of my best friends I grew up with in like elementary, middle school, convinced that, you know, she was gonna be my bridesmaid and everything. And like, who knows, like she still might, but like, it's okay if I'm not besties with her anymore. And I can still want the best for her and not talk to her every single day. Let me see. Number 5. So this isn't really something that I've learned, but it's something that I've realized that other people probably need to work on. I don't know if that's like, I'm not trying to diss you or anything, Miss Girl, but like, people always ask me how I always like did everything in high school. Like I did literally every single club. My senior year of high school, second semester, I was like playing 3 sports at the same time. And everyone was always asking me like, how are you not scared? Like, how are you not scared to try new things? And so that's my number 5, is be scared and do it anyways. Because like whenever I would show up to like a practice for a new sport or a meeting for a new club, like I was always nervous and I was always scared to try new things, but I still did it. Like everyone was like, wow, you must be fearless. Like I remember like some lady came up to me, she was like, wow, you must be fearless to literally join track your senior year with no experience, and just like walk on the high school track team for one season. And like, I don't know. I didn't really feel all that fearless because I still had a lot of anxiety about it. Like I showed up to the first day of practice and like my heart was racing, but I still showed up and I still did it. And I think it's unrealistic for people to be like, don't be scared, be fearless. You know, like of course, like I don't know, going back to me being Capricorn, like I have anxiety, sorry about it. So like I'm still nervous, but I just do it. And it's been really hard for me to relate to people who like get scared, like when it comes to like, especially like social anxiety. Like that's a good thing. Like people will be like nervous to go to social settings where they don't know anyone, so they just don't go. But for me, like I'll be nervous and I just show up anyways. Like be scared but do it anyways. Like it's okay to be scared, it's okay to be anxious, your feelings are valid, but like still do it. Like still just go, you know what I mean? Because like I always tell myself, like, literally, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I drop dead. Okay, well, that's pretty unlikely showing up to track practice the first time. So, like, what's the worst that could happen? You know, I don't know. So I just go anyways. I don't know if that makes sense. Number 6 is something that I learned in middle school because my teacher had this on his, like, wall in his classroom. He was my math teacher. And it was like literally, I don't remember what it exactly said, but it has something to do with like, it was like called a 5-year rule. And it was like, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't worry about it now. And so I would tell myself that like all the time, like whenever I was in middle school and something embarrassing would happen, like, I don't know, one time I like dropped a pad in front of this boy that I liked, and I was so embarrassed. And then I literally went to math class and I saw that sign. I was like, in 5 years, he's not gonna remember that, or like I probably won't even be talking to him anymore. So like I try to apply the 5 year rule anytime anything goes wrong. I'm like, okay, like in 5 years, is anyone going to remember this? Is this like, if you have a bad hair day, you go to school one day and you have a zit on your face, like in 5 years, is anyone going to remember that? If it's not valid in 5 years, then I feel like it's really not worth you putting your energy into it now. Like if you have a bad hair day one day at school out of like all the days in school, like I don't know. I don't want to tell you that your feelings aren't valid. Like you're allowed to be upset, but then also think about the 5 year rule. Like, okay, in 5 years, is anyone going to remember on January 5th, 2022, I had this horrible hair day because I had a big knot in my hair. Like I feel like everyone is so consumed with like thinking that thinking that everyone else is paying attention to them, that they're probably not paying attention to you. Like I tell myself that all the time. I'm like, I'm constantly feeling like everyone's staring at me and like everyone's just like making fun of me, but everyone else is so conscious of that too, that no one is actually looking at you. And so I apply the 5 year rule all the time. Anytime anything embarrassing happens, anytime anything bad happens, I'm like, in 5 years, is this really going to hold as much weight as I think it does? And usually the answer is no. Obviously there's some exceptions, but usually the answer is no. Okay, number 7 is a Taylor Swift lyric, and it kind of goes with No One Is Coming to Save You, but number 7 is You're on Your Own, Kid. Okay, Taylor Swift lyric. Taylor Swift, come on the podcast. But that's also something that I've learned is like, I feel like I've had friendships in the past that like I've wanted those people. When I've gone through a hard time, I've wanted those people to come support me, and they just haven't been the healthiest friendships, and then they just don't do that. And I remember at the time I was like, what the fuck? Like they're my friends and I need the support right now. But like something I realized at the end of the day is like you're literally on your own. And like, yeah, it's like it's good to have friends and it's good to have people that are going to support you, but like you're your own independent person and like you're on your own, literally. So to like accept that, I guess, and to like move on from the not be reserved in the fact that like just waiting for your friends to come is like it's okay to not have any friends because you're on your own is what I guess what I'm trying to say. Like when I like this year I had a pretty rough birthday on my 20th birthday because I was expecting some people to show up that just didn't show up for me, and that really made me realize like I'm literally on my own and I have to stop expecting people to just show up for me all the time because like there's gonna be people who are gonna let you down because that's just what they do. They just let people down, and like that sucks, but like you're on your own, kid, and you can do this. If you're on your own, you can do this, but also like stop expecting. You can't always expect people are going to show up for you every single time you need them. I guess is kind of the lesson with that. Let me see what's next. Okay, number 8 is don't let pride keep you from having fun. Obviously, this can kind of apply for a bunch of different things, but for me, I personally, when I was thinking of this, I was thinking of like not going to things because I'm like self-conscious. Like I don't know if I talked about this before, but I have like extreme like body dysmorphia issues, and like I am really self-conscious about the way that I look specifically in a bikini. And I go to the University of Miami where girls walk around in bikinis all the time, and girls go to frat pool parties or like to the beach. And like I remember first semester freshman year, I never went to any frat pool parties. I like didn't want to go to the pool in my bikini, didn't want to go to the beach with my friends because I was so like self-conscious about the way that I looked. And so I was so like, I guess I was going to say prideful, but I guess I was more shameful maybe. And I was too embarrassed that it kept me from like having fun. And then when I just stopped caring and I just started like, I don't know, I just stopped caring, I guess. And I just accepted the fact that like, okay, like I'm insecure. That's okay. I'm still going to go and have fun. Then I ended up like having such a better college experience like second semester freshman year and I started like making new friends and stuff because I started going out because I wasn't so anxious about what people thought about me in a bikini, which this is kind of superficial, but I think that this advice can go to like anything that you're feeling in your life. Like don't let your pride or your opinions on yourself stop you from having fun. because I think it's more just hurting you than helping you. Like, at the end of the day, and this, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but who gives a shit what people think? Still working on that too, because I still value people's opinions who should not hold any weight in my life. Yeah, don't let your pride and your need to be approved and liked by everyone keep you from going out and having fun and like living your life. Especially like I'm in my 20, like I'm in my hashtag early 20s now. Oh my god, that's literally crazy. And so I don't want to just like not go out and have fun and live my life because I'm so insecure. So yeah. um Okay, number 9 is your feelings are valid, which what I've been saying. I feel like growing up, and I might have talked about this before. I always forget what I've talked about in previous podcasts because I just be yapping so much. But um, I've definitely had experiences in my life where I was going through something that people would perceive as childish, and because of that, they would make me feel like my feelings weren't valid because like older people because they've like lived longer, so they feel like what I'm going through is insignificant compared to what they're going through. But like that doesn't mean that your feelings aren't valid. Like for example, when I broke up with my boyfriend, I was my first boyfriend, like my first ever boyfriend. I remember being like really upset, and I felt like every adult I talked to in my life was like invalidating my feelings by being like, oh, he's just your first boyfriend. Like, you guys weren't even dating for that long. Like, you were so young. Like, it doesn't matter. And it really like made me feel like my feelings weren't valid. It like gaslit me into being like, feeling like, well, I'm still upset about it, Miss Girl. So like, sorry about it. And I guess from their perspective, like they're dealing with like they've dealt with like I guess a lot bigger issues than what they would perceive as like your little high school crush. But for me, like that was what I was going through at the time. Like I'd only lived up to that much. I've only experienced that much of life. So at the time that was like a really big deal to me. So just remember that your feelings are valid and don't let anyone else invalidate your feelings because someone's been through worse. And I was actually just talking about this last night with my friends at dinner. But don't let anyone, because like, okay, yeah, things could be worse. It could always be worse. But like, okay, like that's not fixing what I'm feeling right now. Thinking that like, oh, but the world's not burning, so I don't know why you're upset. Okay, well, Miss Girl, I'm still upset about it. Like just because I'm not like dead in a ditch, I can still be upset about what I'm going through. You know what I mean? um Number 10, halfway through, is some things are better left unsaid. And this is such a big thing for me because I am such a huge yapper. I have no filter. I will tell everyone everything. And so this is something that I've learned, not just that I felt like I've watched other people had to learn. This is something that I've learned is like I just want to like I always want to talk things out when I get in a fight with people, or like when I am anxious or something. I want to talk everything out all the time, and what I've realized is like that doesn't always make me feel better. And like I've looked back and been like, I wish I just didn't have this conversation because it actually didn't get anywhere, and it just made me and the other person I was fighting with more upset. And so I think like sometimes it's just better, you're just better leaving things at the way they are with someone and not like trying to like fix things, I guess. Like some things are just better being left alone. Like leave it alone, Bree Fish. Don't be touching it. Don't be touching it. That's something that I've had to learn is like you don't have to fix everything. You don't have to talk through everything. Some things are just better not talking about it and moving on, because talking about it is just gonna like it's just like picking at the scab that you don't need to be picked at, and like not everything has to be talked about. I gotta shut my mouth sometimes. Um Me literally having a podcast right now. That's so embarrassing. Me saying some things are better left unsaid and then actually recording a whole podcast episode is actually so funny. But whatever. Number 11 is holding grudges is just bringing you down. I also don't personally feel like I've been going through this because I really don't feel like I'm currently holding any grudges. But something I've noticed from other people is like someone will be mad. Two people get in a fight, and then the first person will be mad at the second person, and so they're like, "I'm never going to talk to them again, or I'll never forgive them." And so they like hold this grudge forever and ever and ever. And then the other person is just like going on living their life and like isn't holding a grudge and doesn't care. So by the first person holding a grudge, it's not affecting the second person. It's only affecting themselves. Like if you holding a grudge is only affecting yourself because this usually the other person is just like offloading their life, and then by you holding a grudge, it's like making yourself sick, and it's making your own self upset, and it's not doing anything. It's not affecting the other person you're holding a grudge against. It's only affecting you. So like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like holding. So that's why this one is holding grudges just bringing you down because it's not affecting the other person. So like, you just should just let it go. I don't know. I mean, obviously I don't know your situation, and I don't want you to, I don't want to be like, let it go, like, you know, if it actually is a big thing, because I don't know like what you're thinking about when I'm talking about this, but I feel like for the most part holding grudges is just making you sick, and it's not affecting the other person. Like they're probably like in a bikini in Hawaii right now, and then you're like, I fucking hate that bitch. Like, okay. She's still living her life. Go live yours, Miss Girl, and stop worrying about it. um Okay, number 12 is it's okay to not love yourself every day. I feel like in 2024, we're in like a body positive world. We're just like, everyone's beautiful. Love yourself, queen. You're beautiful in your own skin. You're worthy no matter what you look like. Who cares what size you are? Which, like, period. Woman empowerment, period. Yes, Barbie. But also, like, it's okay to just have a day where you're just like not feeling it. You know what I mean? Like, you're valid to just be like, yeah, I just feel kind of ugly today. My skin's not breaking out. My hair's greasy. I'm not wearing the best outfit. I ate really unhealthy yesterday, and I'm just feeling ugly. And like, you're allowed to feel that. Like, I feel like I don't know. Like, you're entitled to your own opinion. But personally, I feel like now, especially on social media, we're all about like women empowerment and body positivity, and I support that. Don't cancel me. I'm trying to say I support that. But I think it's also okay to like speak about the fact that like it's okay to just feel ugly. And I feel like people don't really talk about that. I feel like nowadays it's just like, love yourself, who cares what anyone thinks. It's literally just a body, which, like, okay, but it's also, we still live in a male dominated society where, like, beauty people, there's such thing as there's such thing as pretty privilege, and some people are held higher than other people because of the way they look, and it's okay to feel ugly, and it's okay to just not feel yourself. Number 13 is perspective. So I said in parentheses, old people need this, bro. I am currently employed when I go back home to Maryland at a place where old people frequently old people frequently go and visit, and I will get yelled at a lot by old people, and sometimes it makes me really upset because I hate being yelled at. People pleaser, that's what we talked about earlier. And to the point where I'm like, oh my god, like I'm literally gonna cry right now. Like, I hate being yelled at by like grumpy old people. And then every time I get yelled at by a grumpy old person at my job, I really just try to get some perspective and remember that like they're upset because this is the only thing in their lives that they can be caring about right now, because they're like retired and they live in a nursing home. And so like this is actually such a minimal thing, and like they have no reason to be getting upset about this, but they're upset about this because that's their whole entire life. And so like I try to remind myself, like, just because I'm like so frustrated right now because I'm like, why the fuck are you getting mad at me about this? I try to get myself some perspective and understand that like, while I think that they're yelling at me about the stupidest little tiny shit thing, to them it's really important because that's their entire life, because they don't have anything else to do. And I'm not trying to like roast the old people. Like, there's a lot of nice old people too, but like I just use that as an example. But a lot of times when, like, I feel like in any situation when someone gets mad at you and you're like, bitch, what the fuck, this does not matter, giving yourself some perspective and realizing that like maybe it matters to them because like they just don't got anything else going on. And so like this insignificant thing is significant to them because that's all they think about, that's all they do, because they just don't do anything else. Maybe it might help you feel a little bit better. Not trying to roast anybody there, but I'm just speaking my truth. Number 14 is it's okay to not have closure. You can still move on. I feel like, I don't know, I think of relationships or ex relationships when I think of closure. You might also think about this to like with like a parent or something. But I feel like a lot of times when my friends will break up with their boyfriends, they're like, I just want to like talk to them face to face, or like I need closure. I need to talk to them in person to move on. But like something I've learned is like you don't need closure to move on. Like you can't just be like you don't have to be like I can't move on because I haven't had closure yet, and I need him to tell me why exactly we broke up. Which like I don't know if that's necessarily the healthiest thing, because I feel like those conversations always just end up making them more upset. And I've talked about this in a previous episode where there was this person where we were growing up, we were just off and on, off and on. Everyone always told us that we were going to end up together, like we were endgame. And then I just felt like he was always stringing me along. So like whenever he was bored, or whenever, he wasn't talking to any girl, he wanted attention, he would like call me up. And so I recently like didn't like say anything to him, didn't have a conversation with him about this. I just kind of like mentally was like, and that chapter of my life is over now, and I'm moving on, and I'm not going to talk to him anymore. I'm not going to give him that space in my mind, right? Like he's not going to inhabit this little tiny space in the back of my mind anymore. And I'm not going to give him that attention anymore. And like I didn't have closure from it. I never had this conversation with him. I just moved on. And I think that that's okay. I think it's okay to not, you don't need to have a conversation. You don't need closure. I think it's okay to just move on. Okay, sorry guys, my camera cut out, but let me see which one we were on. Oh yeah, okay, so number 15 is that there's no such thing as happy endings. I feel like in the movies, a lot of times, and like stuff like that, there will be a character that's going through a conflict, and at the end, the conflict is resolved, and then, they like live happily ever after. But what I've realized is like in real life, like you fix a problem and then you move on, and then other problems come up and then you fix those and then you move on. So like there's no such thing as like a happy ending where everything's resolved and your life is perfect and then you live happily ever after, because like life continues on. The world's gonna keep spinning. You're gonna keep living your life. And so like I feel like, not just me, but I feel like there's a lot of people who are like in the constant pursuit of happiness. That song, shout out that song. But what I've learned is that like, we're always striving to like live this perfect life and this perfect ideal, but there's no such thing as a happy ending and happily ever after. So like stop trying to like reach for something that's not possible, and instead just like live your life where you're at now, because there's no such thing as a happy ending like in the movies. Let me see. Number 16 is you will look back on your youngest years and be embarrassed. This is so funny, but I feel like things you do when you're younger that you think are cool, you'll look back on later and realize they're not so cool. And like when you're younger, sometimes you'll have like older people or like your parents try to warn you, be like, okay, this is kind of cringy, Miss Girl. But then at the time you're like, no, like you're so uncool, mom and dad, like this is cool. But then you'll look back later and be like, why did I ever dye my hair purple? Because it was cool. Like you will look back on your younger years and be embarrassed. That doesn't mean to not like have fun and experiment when you're young and like try new things, but just like keep in the back of your mind that when like someone is trying to warn you about something because they're older, it's probably because they look back on their younger years and they're embarrassed. And then number 17 is it's okay to spend a whole day in bed. Literally me today, other than recording this episode, I've literally just been watching like movies and TV shows in your bed. I've literally just been watching movies and TV shows in my bed, and I feel like whenever I do that, I feel so guilty. I'm like, I wasted my day, like I wasn't productive. But like sometimes we just need like a reset, like a mental reset, and like that's okay. So like if you need to spend a whole day in your bed, it's okay, queen. Like, ain't nobody gonna judge you for it. Sometimes you just need that mental reset. Number 18 is you can outgrow places the same way you can outgrow people. Like I was talking about before, how like your personality can change, and so sometimes the people that you were friends with when you're younger aren't going to be the same people that you're friends with when you're older. I feel like that's the same thing with places too. One of the reasons why I really wanted to move away for college was because I really just felt like I outgrew the town I grew up in. I just felt like my personality, my morals, my opinions just didn't accurately align or reflect with the people I felt like lived in the area that I grew up in. And so something I learned is like, when you're feeling like you just are not thriving in where you're at, sometimes it can be the people that you're surrounding yourself with, but it can also just be the place too, the environment. So sometimes it's healthy to like move away because you can outgrow places the same way you can outgrow people. And I've talked about this before, but like I truly don't ever see myself moving back to Maryland, not necessarily because I hate the place or anything. Like Maryland's chilling as a state, but it's just because I reached a point in my life when I was in high school where I really just felt like I had outgrew it and it was time for me to like move on. And so I really don't ever see myself moving back to the town I grew up in because I just outgrew it, and that's okay. Um, Number 19 is no regrets. I hate when people say shoulda, woulda, coulda. I should have done this. I could have done this. I wish I could have done this because, like, you didn't. Like, okay, you shoulda, but you didn't. So, like, move on. And I hate when people try to say things like that, like, oh, I wish I had done this. Because it's like, what's the point? Because you just saying that, like, wishing you had, isn't going to change the past. Like, you can't time travel. So, you might as well just, like, stand by your decisions and what you did. And then, like, move on, because just being like, oh, I should have done this instead, I should have gotten this instead. Okay, but you didn't, bitch. So like move on. You know what I mean? And like I do this too sometimes, but I just try to remind myself like wishing something had happened isn't going to change it. So like I should just move on, because there's no point putting your energy into things that happened in the past when you can like focus on the present and then work on the future, so you can learn from the things that you wish you would have done or may have regrets. But like don't just stay in that space of regret, if you know what I mean. And then the last one, number 20, is what I wouldn't do to be younger. I feel like growing up, and this is such like a universal thing that everyone has, and people always told me when I was younger, like, don't grow up, like, you don't want to grow up. And when you're younger, you always want to be older because you think older people are so cool. And now I'm like an adult, and like, what I wouldn't give to be back in elementary school coloring with my little friends, running around on the playground and like not being stressed at all. Like, I'm literally getting emotional thinking about it. Like, when I was in elementary school, all I wanted to do was be in high school and be like a cool little high schooler. And now I'm like 20 and I'm like, oh my god, what I wouldn't do to be like 8 again. So like, just to be happy where you are is something I've learned, and like be happy with the age that you're at and embrace the age you're at, no matter what age, because like this is your life and so you should own it. But also like what I would not do to be younger. And if you're a younger girl listening to this, like I'm sure you're so sick and tired of people being like, don't grow up, because you probably just want to be like 18 or like 21, me next year. But like what I'm trying to tell myself is like what I would not give to be sitting in elementary school right now, or even high school. What I would not give to be back in high school with my friends, hanging out with my friends, going to swim practice or softball practice after school. Like what I wouldn't give to do those things. So just like be in the moment. Stop and smell the roses, Miss Girl. But yeah, that is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening if you made it this far. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.